Hey, it's Celebrity Crime Channel. Let's get real today, because this one cuts deeper. You've seen the headlines, but this time, we're not just watching a scandal unfold, we're asking, what makes powerful people think they're untouchable? From Sean Diddy Combs to other celebrities who fell from grace, there's a pattern, and it's one we need to talk about. Let's unpack the psychology behind power, ego, and control, and what we can learn from it. Let's start with power. Power can do incredible things. Build empires, drive change, command influence. At its best, it transforms communities. At its worst, it transforms people. Because unchecked power, it doesn't just change how others see you, it changes how you see the world. It warps reality, it distorts judgment. It creates a dangerous illusion that you're always right, always the exception, never the problem. In Diddy's case, we're not just seeing business moves gone wrong. We're seeing accusations that paint a picture of control, fear, and deep manipulation. Not just professional dominance, but personal domination. It's the kind of power that doesn't build, it consumes. That's the danger. When power stops being a tool and becomes a weapon. When someone no longer sees boundaries, just obstacles. When status turns into silence and fear replaces accountability. When they begin to believe the rules don't apply to them. Because for so long, no one made them. But here's the truth. This isn't just about celebrities, it's closer than we think. Think of that manager who plays favorites. That executive who shuts down every dissenting voice. That coach who turns motivation into intimidation. That partner who uses success as leverage. Power can inspire, or it can isolate. It can elevate others, or erase them. And the more someone gets away with, the more they believe they're entitled to get away with. Until the truth finally hits. And it never knocks gently.
Now, let's talk ego.
Not confidence. Ego. Not the kind that pushes you to grow, to take risks, to believe in your potential. I'm talking about the kind that convinces you that you can't be questioned. That you're always the smartest person in the room. That your success means you're always right. Ego makes you stop listening. Ego makes you rewrite the rules. Ego tells you they owe you. You're above the system. You deserve loyalty, even when you're wrong. And the higher someone rises, the more dangerous their echo chamber becomes. The team gets quieter, the truth gets filtered, reality becomes curated to protect their ego, and eventually, they stop hearing no. When that happens, accountability dies. People around them hesitate, not because they agree, but because they're afraid. And when no one pushes back, ego fills the silence. It becomes a bubble where consequences don't seem real until they are. For some, ego turns into entitlement. They take credit but deflect blame. They demand loyalty but rarely offer support. They speak more than they listen. They lead with authority, not empathy. And slowly, people stop trusting them. They don't see their team anymore. They see tools, resources, status boosters. Everyone becomes a means to their end. And when someone no longer serves that purpose, they're discarded. We've all seen it. A boss who never takes feedback. A partner who turns every issue into someone else's fault. A client who treats boundaries like disrespect. It's not just a personality flaw, it's a pattern. A system of behavior that shows up in leadership, relationships, even family dynamics. And when power and ego mix, it doesn't just erode trust, it poisons environments. It leaves behind fear, silence, and resentment, even long after that person is gone. That's the ego trap. And the scariest part? Most people don't even know they're in it, until it's too late. So, how do you spot this kind of toxic behavior before it's too late? The truth is, It rarely starts loud. It starts with unease, with hesitation, with that moment when your gut says, something's off. Here are 5 red flags that signal something deeper is wrong, whether it's in leadership, at work, or even in personal relationships. Red flag number 1, decision domination. They make all the calls, and not because they're the smartest person in the room, but because they have to control the room. Your input, silenced, teamwork, replaced by obedience. They don't want collaboration, they want a kingdom, and in that kingdom, everyone else becomes replaceable. That's not leadership, that's a dictatorship in disguise. Red flag number 2, isolation by influence. At first, it seems like trust, like loyalty, but then your world starts shrinking. You stop talking to colleagues, you pull away from mentors, and eventually their voice becomes the only one that matters. It's subtle, strategic, and suffocating. Isolation isn't a bug in the system, it's the system. Because the more isolated you are, the easier you are to control. Red flag number 3, emotional blackmail. This one wears a mask. They'll say, after everything I've done for you, you wouldn't be here without me. It feels like appreciation until it starts to feel like a threat. You start making choices out of guilt instead of growth. That's not support. That's manipulation, dressed as mentorship, and it's how loyalty becomes a leash. Red flag number 4, fear, disguised as respect. People don't push back, not because they agree, but because they're afraid. They say yes in public, and I'm worried in private. The office feels quiet, but not peaceful. That's not respect, that's survival. And when fear replaces feedback, the truth disappears. And once truth disappears, problems fester. Red flag number 5, punishment for feedback. You speak up once, and suddenly you're labeled difficult. You're left out of meetings. Your projects get reassigned. You feel that cold shift in the air. Not because your feedback was wrong, but because it was honest. In toxic environments, feedback isn't welcome, it's punished. And without feedback, there's no growth, just ego on repeat. And here's the most dangerous part. These red flags don't always scream. They creep. They whisper. You justify them, ignore them, and sometimes even blame yourself. But while they stay quiet, the damage builds. Teams collapse. Creativity dies. People leave not because they're weak, but because they're finally strong enough to walk away. You might not be in Diddy's world, but these patterns, they show up everywhere.
The Diddy story isn't just about one man.
It's about a system where charisma protects control, where wealth shields wrongdoing, where silence gets rewarded more than truth. It's about how we normalize toxic behavior when it's packaged with charm, power, or success. About how people in the spotlight get second, third, even 10th chances, while victims stay in the shadows. This story matters because it shows us what happens when power goes unchecked, when people become brands and accountability becomes optional, when influence outweighs integrity. And here's the real question. In your own life, are you empowering others or overpowering them? Are you lifting people up or shutting them down without even realizing it? And if you're on the receiving end, if you feel minimized, manipulated, or muted, what boundaries do you need to set to protect your peace? What conversations are you avoiding because it's easier to stay quiet than to speak up? Because if we don't challenge the system, we're part of it.
This isn't just scandal.
It's a mirror, a reflection of how power, unchecked, can quietly erode everything, from trust to truth. If this made you reflect, don't just scroll away. Subscribe for weekly videos that turn pop culture scandals, and yes, even crimes, into real-life strategies for individuals, professionals, and entrepreneurs.